you all are doing well and are safe. Well, by now, we all know how the COVID-19 pandemic has turned our lives upside down. We are experiencing history. I'm sure 2020 will be remembered even after 100 years from now. The pandemic has actually changed the way we live, the way we work, and also the way we think. It's not limited to one country or region. It's affected the whole world at large. A sense of normalcy has lost. Although we are limping towards the pre-COVID times, this pandemic has brought pain, lost livelihoods, grief. But then there's always some positive to take away from it. Now, I have listed down some life-changing lessons which otherwise I won't have thought of in normal times. Well, here are my takeaways from this pandemic. One thing I realized is everything is temporary. I always thought we as humans are invincible. Nothing can happen to us. But this pandemic has proved me wrong. No matter how advanced and developed you are vulnerable. We all are, in fact. Things can go haywire within no time. Beyond the heartbreaking loss of life, the surge in unemployment, mental health crisis, while we have been forced indoors, well, there's no way of sugarcoating the situation around COVID-19. But this pandemic has acted as a catalyst for my thought process. Well, I have learned to be prepared for difficult situations in life. In fact, I have learned to have a plan B. It allowed me to look at, different perspectives of doing the same thing, which I wouldn't have actually thought of otherwise. In short, it allowed me to realize the importance of today, this moment in our lives. I have started to make short-term plans and achieve them faster. So everything is temporary. So is this pandemic. Soon we would have a vaccine and everything would be all merry. But what next? Well, we never know, as everything is temporary. So let's all be prepared. The next thing that I learned is to create confidence. In the early weeks of this pandemic, when we all were also isolated, I realized one thing. If I had to get through this pandemic, I need to have realistic optimism and confidence for the future. Because if I hadn't been confident, I would have soon be paralyzed with fear. It's very difficult to move forward and see a brighter future without confidence. As work had come to a complete halt, of course it affects your monthly pay, right? All of us have faced this. As you know, I teach English and soft skills offline, mostly to the corporate employees. But the very first month of the lockdown, I just couldn't figure it out. How do I keep that confidence going? I was focused on my family, but it was time to focus on my clients as well. So I called to just talk to them and, see how they were doing. Well, everyone was working from home and seemed very willing to accept a call. So I wasn't selling or teaching anything other than confidence. That's what I wanted to give my clients, a sense of confidence and realistic optimism. So in difficult times, look for the ways to keep your confidence high, as it will get you through the rough times. The most important takeaway is deal with it. I'm sure you have heard it many times. Well, it's kind of a motivational thingy. But let me tell you, it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. On March 11th, COVID-19 was declared as a pandemic by the World Health Organization. 2 weeks later, a national lockdown was declared in India. Well, we were told to stay indoors. In fact, I was about to catch a flight to New Zealand just 2 days after the lockdown was announced. But guess what? My office shut down and my business was essentially at a standstill. Not once did I ever think that this would be all over. It was time to think how to make this an opportunity. So what did I do? Well, I started with online classes and it was an instant success. I felt like it was a blessing in disguise. Training people from all around the world, I could grow my personal equity. And on the other hand, if I would have kept thinking that, oh my God, how am I going to survive? Well, I would have been more scared and would rather had a very pessimistic approach. So no matter how difficult the situation is, don't focus on the situation. What you need to do is look on how you could resolve it and come out of it unscratched. Well, one of the important lessons that I have learned is listen, observe, learn, and act. Well, I have had plenty of time to interact with my colleagues, same-minded people from the education industry. Plenty of Google Meets and Zoom meetings. And guess what? I was listening and observing. I soaked into every idea that came across that actually helped me to be better at what I do. It opened a whole new virtual world of enriching my skills. In the past, I only focused on teaching, and my focus was always on working on these skills. Well, interacting virtually has definitely helped me to understand and teach better. Understand the camera angles, using different microphones. Well, in fact, I learned how to use my iPhone as a webcam for better video quality. Isn't that great? Well, I know this can be learned anytime by going online, but I never did it. I never had the time to listen, observe, learn, or act. So now, this activity of listening, observing, learning, and acting is going to be a part of my regular schedule because it teaches you so much. So therefore, I am loving this. Well, guys, the last thing that I would like to share is that be grateful and kind to yourself. With over lakhs of lives lost to this pandemic has made me to rethink my priorities and remember how precious life is. It has been a reminder to appreciate the smaller things in life, the things I often used to take it for granted. I'm grateful for my family, for my beautiful friends, even if it means video calls and text messages, while we cannot actually see each other in person. But with so many people falling ill, I am so grateful for my health. And with so many people losing their jobs and becoming homeless, well, I am really grateful for the food in my fridge and a place to call home. So this pandemic has made me reevaluate my life, my assets, my priorities, and served me as a reminder of how precious life is and appreciate the small little things in life. So guys, have you experienced productivity guilt in your career? Well, honestly, I have. Like if I don't complete my tasks, I feel quite guilty about it. It kind of affects my productivity. I just don't feel at ease. So I realized one thing in this pandemic, that sometimes it's just fine if the tasks get delayed. There's no need to feel guilty about it. It just adds up, to your pressure and stress, which kind of restricts the mind to think freely. So it's very important for us to just let it go and try it again. So these are my takeaways from this pandemic. I feel blessed that I could survive this pandemic, and my heart definitely goes to all those who lost their loved ones, who lost their jobs and their livelihoods. And I really hope, guys, that these points would help you to reflect on your lives and give you a different perspective, like a more positive one. If you like this video, well, give it a thumbs up and do share it with your loved ones. And I will see you soon, super soon. Till then, stay safe and stay healthy.